I didn't quite see you there. Welcome. As you can see, I'm enjoying a warm cup of tea beside the fire and doing a bit of light reading. Would you like to know what I'm reading? Well, if you don't, I'll tell you anyway. I am reading a brief history of nearly everything. Just a little light entertainment for this coronavirus quarantine. Would you like to hear a passage from it? In 1953, Stanley Miller, a graduate at the University of Chicago, took 2 flasks, one containing a little water to represent a primeval ocean, the other holding a mixture of methane, ammonia, and hydrogen sulfide gases to represent Earth's early atmosphere. Well, it's a little too much science for me, but perhaps you enjoy it. Come, now. We have to talk about school and classwork, so let us begin. And welcome to Miss Kerr's Fireside Chat. So, you think it's a bit too early to be applying to colleges or thinking about it? Well, you're wrong. It's never too early to think and ponder that question, that essential question that drives our youths forward. Now, children, I must admit that when I was a youth myself, I did have quite a bit of trouble picking the college I would go to, because I just applied to them all and said, whichever one lets me in, I'll go to, which all of them let me in. But moving forward and onward into some more personal things, I do want you to consider and think about where it is that you would like to go to school, for this decision is very, very important for your adult life. And how better to get into a college or institution than to prove that you are a unique specimen, a individual, a human being with potential for that university? Well, I shall tell you this now. The best way to do that is through your personal essay. If you can dazzle a college through your personal statement, then you are far more likely to get into that university. How do you do that, you might wonder? Well, let's take a look at some different examples, shall we? Alright, so it's really me now, but I pulled up a great website that you can use to take a look at some actual college essays, and that's Johns Hopkins University essays that worked. If you notice the coronavirus warning at the top, it's pretty topical, but I did provide a link to this that is on Canvas that you can use. So let's take a look at some of the ones from the class of 2023, and I just looked at some of the ones that were on the homepage, but let's read through the first one, Finding My Voice. I looked up and flinched slightly. There were at least 60 of them, far more than expected. I had 30 weeks to teach them the basics of public speaking. Gritting my teeth, I split my small group of tutors among the crowd and sat down for an impromptu workshop with the 8th graders. They were inexperienced, monotone, and quiet. In other words, they reminded me of myself. I was born with a speech impediment that weakened my mouth muscles. My speech was garbled and incomprehensible. Understandably, I grew up quiet. I tried my best to blend in and give the impression I was silent by choice. I joined no clubs in primary school, instead preferring isolation. It took 6 years of tongue twisters and complicated mouth contortions in special education classes for me to produce the 44 sounds of the English language. Then high school came. I was sick of how confining my quiet nature had become. For better or for worse, I decided to finally make my voice heard. Scanning the school club packet, I searched for my place. Most activities just didn't feel right, but then I sat in on a debate practice and was instantly hooked. I was captivated by how confidently the debaters spoke and how easily they commanded the attention. I knew that this was the path forward. Of course, this was all easier said than done. Whenever it was my turn to debate, I found that I was more of a deer in headlights than a person enjoying the spotlight. My start was difficult, and I stuttered more than I spoke in the first few weeks. Nonetheless, I began using the same tools as I did when I learned to speak all those years ago: practice and time. I watched the upperclassmen carefully trying to speak as powerfully as they did. I learned from my opponents and adapted to my style to the hundreds of rounds I lost. With discipline, I drilled a single speech dozens of times until I got it right. Day by day, I began to stand a little taller, talk a little louder, both inside and outside of debate. In a few months, my blood no longer froze when I was called on in class. I found I could finally look other people in the eyes when I talked to them without feeling embarrassed. My posture straightened and I stopped fidgeting around strangers. I began to voice my opinions as opposed to keeping my ideas to myself. As my debate rank increased from the triple to single digits, so too did my standing at school. I began interacting with my teachers more and leading my peers in clubs. In discussions, I put forward my ideas with every bit as much conviction as my classmates. When seniors began to ask me for advice and teachers recruited me to teach underclassmen, I discovered not only that I had been heard, but that others wanted to listen. At heart, I am still reserved. Some things never change, but in finding my voice, I found a strength I could only dream of when I stood in silence so many years ago. Standing in front of a crowd of students, it was my hope that by founding this program, I could give them an experience that was as empowering as mine had been for me. As the weeks passed, the students inched past their insecurities and towards finding their voice, just as I had always wanted to do. On the last day of class for that year, I looked up and saw each of the students standing confidently equipped and ready to speak their minds in whatever they wanted to do. They had come a long way from being shy and stuttering voices that they were just 30 weeks before. I can't wait to see how far they can go from here. Hey there, everyone. Let's do a little bit of a post-mortem here. We want to take a look at some of the things that really work for this essay. And one of the big things is the start. Now, I'm going to tell you the secret to writing a great, engaging essay and really getting your audience involved at the start. And that comes through something called an energeia, or an anecdote. Look at the way that first line is written. I looked up and flinched slightly. There were at least 60 of them. How do you feel when you read that first section? You should feel like you're there in that person, what that person is doing in that moment. It makes it just more real and engaging, and it makes your reader want to stick around for more. Remember, the essay's personal, so it's not got to be a cold clinical analysis of why you should go to a certain college. It's something that is really important to you. And in the case of this particular writer, this moment is defining. Think about, as we read through the rest of the essay, starting at this point, feeling sort of scared again, starting a new process is a really big definition of growth for that person. This person started out very timid and shy and quiet, but now is sort of sitting in the position as a teacher, a place where he would have never thought he would have been, and it's still a humbling moment. It's great. It's fantastic. It shows the growth from the very start, but it also still really gets the reader involved in the humanity of the situation. Absolutely beautiful. Magnifique. So let's kind of move on into the next section here. I was born with a speech impediment. The author of this piece is giving the college a little bit more information as to why this experience is transformative, what this proves about this person being silent by choice and preferring isolation, which again makes it a big leap and jump to be standing in front of a group of 8th graders teaching them how to be confident. And now in that third paragraph, we're really getting into the big defining moment of change, going and stepping into that debate club, even though this person was scared of speech and debate. Now, think about this in this way. This person is not saying, I am the top of my class, I am the best in the world. They're being humble and sort of admitting some of those things that are problems or issues for them or things that they have difficulty with. And so looking back at this essay, it's not a, hey, look at how good I am at these certain things. It's look at how hard I worked to overcome this particular issue. And that's more humanizing than looking at a list of accomplishments or achievements. That's what they want to see. And a personal statement, again, you're not trying to be the very best Captain America-esque, superhero-esque person in the world. You want them to get a real picture of you and your achievements and accomplishments and things that are and just important to you. So this essay does, again, a great job at doing that and just humanizing this person. And so they're not an application coming in through the Common App. They're real. All right, now let's look at one last little bit kind of before we move on into the final thing we're going to do with this. And that is this moment. At heart, I am still reserved. Some things never change. While this person recognizes that they are still reserved, they found a voice and strength when they thought they could never find it. And so again, we come back to that very beginning at the end of this essay, standing in front of the crowd of students. It was my hope that by founding this program, I could give them an experience that was empowering as mine had been for me. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? They've passed on this legacy and this thing that they never thought they'd be able to do to these kids, and it's beautiful. I understand why this is picked as one of the best essays, because it's a wonderful full circle moment for the student, and it shows them taking leadership and growth and really coming out of their shell without using those cliched hackneyed phrases and saying, oh, I've grown as a leader in my community. No, instead, it's this particular moment in time, this example, this one singular thing that anchors this essay down, that makes it good. All right, I've waxed enough. Let's take a break from this and take a look at some entertaining content for a moment.
Well, hi there, everyone. I'm back again, as promised. One of my most beloved animal friends at my parents' home. Everyone, meet Aaron Purr. He's a fantastic animal. Look at how gentle he is, how tame, how calm. I could even let him go and he wouldn't move. He's so cute. I hope you've enjoyed this little look into my world. Now I've got to go disinfect. That's what I'm going to be doing in a minute.
All right, and we're back. So you are going to be going onto the Johns Hopkins University website and taking a look at that section, Essays That Worked. What I'd like you to do is pick out one. Now, we are going to conduct a discussion board on Canvas based on the essay that you have picked. There are instructions on Canvas on the discussion board, so you can go ahead and head there now. If you have any questions, of course, you can always message me on Remind. I should be available. Or you can email me. I will have my email pulled up and we'll be able to respond ASAP. There's also a great way to communicate with me if you don't think messaging is going to work, and that is through calling me on Remind. It won't show your number and it won't show my number, so if you'd rather have a phone conference with me, you are more than welcome to do that and try and call me there. So, have a great quarantine. Goodbye.